So during the planning and preparation stage, the teacher is thinking about what's going to happen in the classroom and trying to anticipate as much as possible. We know that the lesson is planned and the lesson is taught are not always the same. But what are some characteristics of this giving it stage? First of all, remember that we talked about this is when the teacher is choosing what to teach as well as how to present it. And on the what to teach, we've got a whole variety of areas that second language learners must learn. These, of course, are like the big labels, and under each of these labels would be many more details. For example, vocabulary. You might teach that vocabulary in a thematic way. Grammar. What would be the specific details of the grammar? Now, as we move into how we present it, there are some characteristics that are worth remembering. First of all, you are always trying to present by building on what students already know. And that's one of the key parts of the giving it stage. So in addition to building on what is known, the teacher must also think about a couple of other key things. The first of those things is the teacher's use of the target language or modeling it. Remember that the students aren't going to be able to learn another language if they never hear it, and the building of that ability to comprehend is going to be the encouragement of the feeling of success. When you are speaking to the students and modeling it, you want to think about Krashen's I+1, which means providing input at a level that's just a little higher than what the students will be able to understand. Or make sure that what you're doing and what you're saying are both congruent and will make the message comprehensible or understandable. Two good tips in that regard are, first, what you say should be short, clear, and precise. And that means that it should take approximately 20 to 60 seconds. That's going to take planning. We know that today's young people are living in an age of instantaneous gratification, and they can lose their attention span and their interest very quickly. The second most important factor to consider in as a teacher and in preparing what you're going to say and do in the classroom is what we're going to call student investment. In other words, what can you do to increase the student's overall desire and effort? And there are three categories that we're going to look at. The first category is what we'll call relevance and purpose, making sure that the students understand why it is that you're asking them to do something or why it is that they need to learn something. Typically, teachers say because it's in the program of studies or curriculum, or because it's related to an assignment and they need to get a passing grade. Those reasons are usually sufficient for many students, but it's also valuable to explain to them why whatever it is that you're teaching them has relevance in a world beyond the classroom, in the world of the future. You also, in explaining relevance and purpose, can take advantage of foreshadowing. Foreshadowing is something that's coming in later units, or particularly something that's coming in this unit. For example, by the end of the unit, you're going to be working on a project or an assignment of a certain nature, and you might even give them some of the criteria for that. And that will also help perk up their interest. The second important category in trying to increase student investment is whatever you can do to help students remember what it is that you're going to teach. And we're going to call that mnemonics. Now, we know that learners remember in their own way. And when you learn more about learning strategies, we'll explore more of that. But teachers can do many things to help learners improve, increase, expand, enhance their memories. So, the first and most important part of mnemonics is the power of first impression. What can you do that will introduce a concept in a way that the students will not forget it? And here's where it's worth investing in activities that will follow multiple senses and or increase variety and novelty. More specific tips would be try to create a context in which you are modeling, or perhaps as a teacher you are selecting another way of modeling the language, perhaps through a video clip, or perhaps through an audio clip, or a guest speaker. So you want to create a context that makes what they are learning in some way relevant to them. We know that there's nothing better than humor to help increase students' interest in a topic or memory. When a teacher can share personal anecdotes that relate to what's being learned, that also is a great memory device. Other tips are related to using multiple sensors and also the various multiple intelligences. So if you can teach students some kind of a rhythm that will help them remember something, or a song, very effective. And we'll see later how that relates to the multiple intelligences. Actions and gestures have been proven to have a great memory enhancement. So by doing something, we are more likely to remember the vocabulary associated with it. And neuroscientific research has shown that we work in different parts of the brain to activate some of these ways of learning. And the more parts of the brain that are involved, the greater will be that learning. In learning a second language, there's really no way around not including repetition. Repetition coupled with gestures will be more effective, and that what the teacher's goal is to involve repetition that is not parrot-like, mimic-like, unthoughtful, boring. So that is another great tip to increase student memory. Helpful tips would include the use of visuals, and by visuals we also mean props, and as you will also see later, picture cues. Now, not only because we have some learners who learn particularly well with the support of visual material, but also because visuals help students to make associations, and those associations are what will trigger memory. The memory component is so important in learning a second language because you have to learn every single word you might already know in your mother tongue in that new language. And those are hundreds to start with and then thousands of words.